Hey everybody, welcome back to Out of the Ordinary with Jay. And today my guest is Mike. And Mike, do you mind me asking how old you are?
57.
57. Okay, so really the perfect age to be discussing the topic that you've proposed, which is uh, things to consider as one is retiring or considering right before retirement or getting ready to retire. Um, so what are your thoughts on that? Are you close, I guess, or
I'm close.
yeah?
My goal, obviously, if everything financially comes together, my goal is to retire at 59 and a half.
Okay,
That
so
would be in a perfect world, and that would be fantastic.
so you're definitely knocking on the door. So this is a very appropriate conversation
Correct.
for you. So are you thinking about it all the time, or what
Oh
was?
yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I've had several mentors at work,
Well, that's probably
that have
good.
retired before me.
That's helpful, right?
I work for a huge corporation.
Okay.
You want me to tell you?
You can tell me, sure.
Yeah, I work for Costco.
Oh, that's a massive corporation. And
Massive
from what I hear,
corporation.
a good corporation. So, okay.
Next Saturday will be my 31st year.
So
So
three
I've had
decades plus on the
over
same
three
job.
decades.
That's
Yes.
not a lot of people do that anymore.
I had a lot of coworkers that have retired.
Yeah.
Some have passed. Long-term 40-year. I work with two 40-year employees at Costco. Right now, currently,
Wow.
some have retired right at 40, and I've worked with my entire career. So they give me a lot of sound advice. With my 401k, what I should put things in and keep letting
Yeah.
it ride. Don't worry about it.
Can I ask you a couple questions
yeah.
about that real quick? So,
Yeah.
the people that have retired before you, the ones that you're saying are giving you this advice,
Yeah.
um, does it seem like they're doing okay in retirement?
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
so they would be good people to listen to.
Correct. Yeah.
And do you recall any of the stuff that they've kind of told you? I mean, you were just mentioning that, like, hey,
Well,
let your
financially,
401k ride.
Yeah. Keep putting the money into the
Okay.
401k. Keep letting that automatic advance. It's your 401k will go up in percentage until it's maxed out. You can put auto, correct.
Yeah,
Auto.
you max it out
Max
and
it
then
out. Correct.
let the market do its
Let
work.
the market
right?
do its work. I mean,
Yeah.
that has been phenomenal for me.
Okay.
I'm at a point now where I'm exceeding my expectations where I'm going to be. So now I've
Okay.
set a goal. I talked to a coworker. Him and his wife both worked at Costco, and I go, dude, what are you doing here? He's like, what? He kind of, we'd had conversations about how much money he had in his 401k, and I'm like, why are you here? You could
Yeah.
retire and live off the interest and make more money retired than
Yeah.
you are working. Well, I got some things to pay off, and I want to, the insurance. Everybody's talking about the insurance, and I go, well, you can afford to pay for your own insurance.
Yeah, it is
based on-
expensive though.
It is expensive,
It is
correct.
insurance.
So
Okay.
he waited
Mhm.
until he got his 40-year badge, then he retired, and he's like, man, I should have listened to you.
Oh, so you could
so
have given him advice
I
in
could
this
have
case.
given him advice in this case.
Okay.
And what I told him to do was go see a fiduciary.
Okay.
Someone, not just an investment broker or whatever, but a fiduciary. They're government controlled. They're a little more conservative, and just
Yeah.
see what they can do.
I'll just interject real quick.
Yeah.
None of this is financial advice.
No,
on this channel.
absolutely
And I
not.
would say my own advice would be, while I don't disagree with seeking out people that are experts in the field,
Yeah.
I think one can't really phone that in. You need to learn
Yes.
about finance,
Yes.
and you need to
Yes.
do your own
This
homework
is the,
about.
well,
so
my
even if
thing
it's
is, this is the baby step.
yeah, and even if it's
you
just
need
to be
go
able
to more than
right,
one, too.
and even if it's just to be able to ask the right questions,
Correct.
right? Like because like not a lot, but many financial advisors, they can make commissions off of some of the insurances and some of the programs that they put you in.
Yeah.
I would want to know that, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes mutual funds and stuff like that, you might as well just get just your own VOO or ETF that's just mirroring the market anyways, and
Yeah.
get rid of all the complications and the extra
Everybody,
fees
you're paying
involved.
exactly
and
the
so,
fees,
but
the
again,
overhead.
that's an independent thing. But
Correct.
but I'm just saying, like,
But-
it pays to do your homework
Right.
on that. Is all I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was
Yeah.
the first step.
Okay.
I told him.
Yeah.
And what I've seen is I had a friend, long-term friend growing up. His mother was in a high stress job,
Yeah.
and when she retired, she lost her identity.
Oh yeah, that's a big thing.
And you know, she didn't know what to do. She didn't have really very many hobbies, and I see that in several people. Or someone will, you know, they'll have one hobby, and then they
Mhm.
kind of, I'm like, are you working out? Are you staying busy? No, no, I haven't done anything yet, and that worries me because
Yeah.
I had when I was teaching martial arts, I had a student that father passed away of
Right.
colon cancer,
Right.
so it was hereditary,
Yeah.
but he never had insurance and never got it checked.
Can,
As soon as he had insurance, got it checked, he was stage 4 and he passed.
that sucks.
And it was horrible. And I was like, I'm kind of like, wow,
It's an aha
you know,
moment right there.
this is a
Wake up
aha
call.
moment. You know, he was
Yeah.
in his 40s.
Oh my goodness. Jeez.
And it was just tragic. And I said, wow, you know, we have to take care of our health. We have to take care of our finances. You know, we have to just everything
Health and
is,
wealth, kind of important. Yeah.
Everything is in balance. You know, not just what we eat and working
Yeah.
out, but balance.
Yeah, yeah. Can I ask you? I want to move on. I want to move to the beyond the financial part of it.
Yes,
But the financial part of it is a big part of it.
Yes.
And so before we leave there, I wanted to ask you a couple of things. You mentioned you're working for a large corporation.
Yes.
Do you have? Is it a 401k? Is it a pension? Is it
It's a
both? Like
401k.
what? Okay, so
Yep.
it's been that way the entire 31 years you've
Yep.
been there.
The entire time.
Okay.
So they contribute, I contribute.
So there is
and then the
some sort of
market.
matching.
There's a match.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anybody
and then
that
there's a
yeah.
bonus too. So the years of service I get, they put a lump sum into my retirement account
Wow.
every year.
Again, not financial advice. That said, if anybody out there listening has a 401k where their employer matches it, that is free money. Just
Yep.
tighten your budget, tighten your belt,
Yeah.
and take the free money.
Yep.
My non-advice, but
Yes.
yeah. Anyways, do you worry about finances going into 2008? Don't disclose anything like how you're doing or anything, but like do you worry, like, remember the big the 2008 crash that just
Yeah.
took out? Do you worry that like you might retire and then something like that happens, or not so much?
Not so
Do
much.
you know what I mean? Like,
Not
is the
so much.
is the
It
idea
is, it
do
is
you-
what it is.
right? But so
Yeah.
is the idea? Do you guard against that by saying, okay, I have to save this much more just in case something like that happens, or does it not adjust your goal setting in terms of finance? Do you know what I mean? Like
I
let me give you an
think-
example. Let's
yeah.
say if I thought,
I understand
you know what,
what you're
I need for the audience. Let's just say I thought, you know what, I really need to have $1 million to retire, $1 million. Say that's the
Yeah.
number. But I know if a 2008 crisis hits, it's going to take half of it, and I'll be down to 500,000, and that is not enough. So do I adjust in my head and say, okay, I need $2 million, or do I say, 2008 was a crazy fluke, we've got guardrails in place, and that's unlikely to happen again? What say you? What's your opinion on that?
Well, interesting fact.
Okay.
So my next door neighbor, which they've moved
Yep.
and went on, he worked for a large corporation as well
Mhm.
in tech industry, and he was ready to retire at 55. He had enough money in his 401k, and 2001, 9/11 happened.
Oh, wow.
So when the market crashed, then
Yeah.
he lost it. His stock went way down.
He lost it. No, just
Right?
kidding.
That's what he
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, no, the value went down. Your shares are still there.
Yeah.
And after a couple of years, he got all the value of the 401k went back up, and then he retired. But he had to wait.
Yeah, well, you make a good point. It matters when you need the money.
Correct.
Because there are times, I think in 2008, I just could be totally wrong, but
Yeah.
there have been times where it's taken like a decade for
Yeah.
it to recover, right?
Correct.
Well,
Correct.
if if you're 70 to 80 and you're in that
You don't
zone,
have 10
that's
years.
you don't have the
Yeah.
you're
No.
you're in a pretty rough spot. So
So you have
Yeah.
to be conscious of that.
yeah,
You know,
but not overly.
but
crazy.
not overly crazy. I don't think so.
Yeah, and I think that
I
yeah,
think the biggest thing is you need to just be comfortable and live within your means.
right.
My wife paid cash for her education. She got a master's degree.
Nice.
She didn't buy a new car.
Yeah.
She didn't buy a new phone. She didn't buy any expensive things. She lived within her means
Right.
and paid cash for everything.
Right. So while she maybe wasn't living it up then, she's benefiting from it now. It's kind of like
Correct.
a delayed
Correct.
gratification,
Yes.
discipline.
So
Yes.
that's kind of like
Yeah.
that's kind of like
That's obviously the best case scenario.
It
for
is
those
the
that
best
can-
case scenario.
that those
And,
that are
and,
able to
and
do that.
as Americans, we want everything. We have social media, we have
Right.
the commercials and everything else. We want the latest, greatest of everything. And sometimes, you got to pull the reins back and save
Yeah.
some money.
So that does seem to be. I interviewed another person not too long ago. I'll link to it in the description here. He was a professor of physics and astronomy for several decades.
Yeah.
And he retired. And I think he was 60 when he retired. But I think it's what we're talking about is like you have to try to find that balance between like how much money's enough, right? Because you don't want to want to
Struggle.
have enough,
Right.
You don't want to
Correct.
struggle too much, but also like you want to be healthy enough to enjoy it. Like in other
Correct.
words, what's so great about retiring at whatever 90 for just as an example, if you've always wanted to hike the biggest mountains
Yeah.
in the world, and now
Or
you,
travel.
and now you
And
cannot,
now you
and now
can't
you
travel.
can't do it,
Yeah,
right? So
exactly.
you worked so hard, and now you can't do what you saved up to do. And I
Correct.
think that balance it's a challenging thing.
It is.
Particularly if you have not been disciplined and saved up enough, or if you have a lifestyle that is really encumbering of your funds, right?
Correct.
Then you can. Although I have seen, there's this other couple that I know that they retired and they were pretty well to do as long as I knew them, but when they retired, they downsized like big time. They went from
Yeah.
the big home to the tiny condo, right?
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
literally, and then their money really was going a lot farther. And I
Right.
thought that was a pretty intelligent move.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So, kind of a fun fact, side note. A coworker was talking, and she was saying, how the economy and the home prices and everything is so high, and
Yeah.
she's afraid that her kids won't be able to afford a home.
Right.
And he's like, I couldn't afford a home. To
Yeah.
the coworker who has a
Yeah.
nice big home now, he goes,
Sure.
everybody has to start somewhere, right? And you have to start small and you have to build up. And that's
Totally.
part of growing and advancing with your career and your family. And your
Totally
money.
agree with that, but it is harder today.
It is harder.
as a percentage
Correct.
of what people make. In other words, the inflation of home prices
Yes.
has not kept pace with salary adjustment, and so it
Correct.
is more difficult. So
It is more difficult,
but
but
it's
it's
still
not
doable.
impossible,
No,
right.
it's just more
So-
challenging. And then of course where you want to live has a humongous factor, right? If
Yeah.
I go out to, for lack of a better term, rural Alabama, right?
Yeah.
I can get me 20 acres and a nice home for something that might get a condo, in a city and
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, do you brought up earlier about kind of beyond the financial now? You brought up earlier about a friend that talked about loss of identity.
Correct.
You definitely see that, and I heard it explained in this way recently in something that I was watching, where they basically said, you kind of are like, when you're like a younger person, right? You have your house kind of built for you, right? Your parents and the teachers and everything kind of build your house for you, and then
Right.
boom, you turn 18, or you go to college, you graduate college, or whatever you do after you're in high school, and then you kind of build your own house for the next however many years, in your case 30, 40 years, right?
Right.
That's kind of who you've become, like, and your comfort level. When I say build your house, I mean like your own house of your person, right?
Correct. Your own identity.
When it goes
yeah.
away, like you've been working at this company for 31 years,
Yeah.
this is kind of a part of your identity. Like
Correct.
what happens when you have to start over now and kind of build a quote unquote
Transition.
third house, for lack
Correct.
of a better term?
Correct.
Like
And
what is
that's-
that about?
And that's something that I've seen, and I want to not get caught in that rut
Yeah.
of finding myself.
So how do you think you do that?
I created passions and hobbies
Okay.
that are physically, mentally, spiritually helpful.
Okay.
So,
But were those, just to challenge you for a moment?
Yeah.
But you're doing those now already, right?
Correct.
What happens when you get 50, 60 hours a week that you're not at work to engage in these? I mean, how
I'm
much of
gonna
a
fill
hobby?
in.
How much of a hobby can one do, right?
that is true.
I just
I
throw it
will
out
have
there. I don't know.
I will have all this extra time.
You may need more
But-
hobbies.
But right. but then there's all the things at home, or fixing my home, or doing the things right.
I'm hearing you, but
You're-
I'm going to
you're
challenge you
doing-
again.
You're doing,
I'm sorry.
You're
I
doing
gotta-
projects yourself, right?
I got to challenge you again, because I've heard this. The guy will, like, he says he's gonna. That's it. As soon as I retire, I'm gonna do this. And then, like, they show him, and it's like 11 days later, and he's like, he shows his checklist, and he's got everything on the to-do list done. He's like, well, okay.
Yeah.
11 days later, he
Yeah.
needs years of stuff to do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's a, maybe that's part of the fun, right? Is learning what you might
Yeah.
want to get into,
I
right?
have goals of traveling.
Joining clubs,
right, right. So
Oh, traveling
staying
would be
active,
good, sure.
Traveling, but then it's that financial balance, right?
Yeah, you can't go
So
traveling,
you have
right?
you have the travel fund, and then you have the daily fund and everything
Yeah.
else. So I've been fortunate enough to traveled abroad and
Yeah.
experience different countries, and I love it. I love it. I'm all in for a tour group.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
I will tell you that loss of identity thing. It was when you were talking, made me think of another person that I talked to about this. It's so real because he had the benefit of retiring like very early,
Yeah.
like younger, like young,
Yeah.
retired early. And it's funny because he would go to like parties or social situations, and it's they're introducing, oh hey, I'm so and so. Hey, what do you do? What do you do? Right? And then it comes to him. He's like, hey, what do you do? And he's like, right? It was almost like he didn't know who he was, and nobody else, because he couldn't identify what he
Right.
did, didn't know who he was. Like, how do you explain things about yourself and introduce yourself to people without leading with
Right.
the job, right? It's kind of a
So-
weird situation.
So I
Yeah.
have I talk to my brother a couple times a day.
Okay. Is he retired?
He retired
Okay.
at 62.
Okay.
And one of the things too is he was horrible at math. Sorry, Scott. And I said, dude, you can retire. He goes, what do you mean? Retire right away at 62 and a half. As soon as you start collecting that Social Security, you retire. He's got the pension. He was a state employee. He's got the pension.
Oh wow, so
He had
he's
a
in good
goal.
shape.
He was in great shape.
Good for him.
And I said, just retire. Well, if I work a couple more years, then I'm
Mhm.
going to get that extra $300 a month for Social Security.
Yeah.
And that was one of the biggest things. I'm like, you can't do basic math, can you? Because what do you mean? Well, from 62 to 65, that 3 years, if you're not collecting that Social Security payment, all that money is just left on the table.
That you haven't received it.
You haven't received it. So I said, add up that payment, because you can go on the website and see what your
Yeah.
average payment would be. Add up that payment over 12 months times 3 years. It was about $72,000
Yeah.
that he would not get. Then you divide that by the 300 extra dollars you're going to get. It takes him, I think it was 26 or 28 years to break even.
Yeah, so you'd have to figure out the math on your specific
Correct,
situation.
correct.
Yeah.
So on his
yeah.
situation, it made no sense. And I
Yeah.
said, take advantage of it. As soon as a year later, he got a heart condition. He
Wow.
got a swollen heart. And he had to have a pacemaker put in.
Wow.
And he had a defibrillator put in. And it totally changed his life.
Finances aside, I would just say the math that you just kind of went over.
Yeah.
That aside, to me, one has to ask themselves, even if I was making more money
Yeah.
by staying to working, right?
Yeah.
Do I need it, and is it worth an extra 3 years of my time,
Yeah.
right? Because
Correct.
what is the cost
don't
of your
know how long
what
you're
is the
gonna live.
cost of your time at that
Yeah.
point? The reverse of that though is, if you're really liking your job. I'm actually going to be interviewing another person here shortly, probably in a week or two, who was in retirement for a couple of years and is now going back into the workforce, not for financial reasons,
Just to stay busy.
just because he wants to feel like he's contributing
Right.
and feel like he's making a meaningful difference.
Right.
And so that
And
will be
there's-
should be an
and I
interesting
see I see
should be
a
an
lot of
interesting
that
conversation.
in the workforce. I see a lot of that in the workforce where
Yeah.
you're either in a situation where you need more money and you
Right.
have to go back to work, or you're just bored, right?
Yeah.
You didn't have those hobbies.
Right.
My dad was an athlete, and he played every kind of sport.
Yep.
And as soon as he was maybe 82, 81, 82,
Yeah.
and he got some vision problems, macular degeneration, which is very common,
Very
and,
common.
and spreading like crazy. So
Yep.
he lost his vision and couldn't golf anymore. that was part of his identity. And once he lost that identity, he kind of lost any kind of ambition for life at that point, and it was really
Yeah.
sad to see. Um, so that's kind of like what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
what's-
and it's like
Yeah.
we have to have that broad sense. So my brother has a friend who volunteers at a animal shelter,
Mhm.
and he does plays and singing. He was in Hollywood for a while, and he stays active in the community and gives back.
Yeah, I think it's
Um,
very subjective, very personal.
Correct.
Because like the
Correct.
one guy that I know I'm gonna be talking to that I just mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
I know for a fact he found many things to be a significant contributor on. It
Yeah.
wasn't enough for him.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
He had to go back to what
He's
he was
driven.
what he
He's
was an,
driven,
he wanted to
right?
go back to what he was an expert at and what he was
Yeah.
good at and what he enjoyed.
Correct.
And
Because-
it'll be very interesting. But that is kind of like what would you do? So what would you do with your time right now, or do you not know?
Well, I'm going to continue to teach Tai Chi.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I do another interview with Mike. He's a decades-long Tai Chi instructor, and so I'll link to the video here in this one.
But that
Yeah.
only is a few hours a week.
But you
So
could bump it up, right?
I can bump it up.
Yeah.
Also, just my personal practice, giving me that freedom to consistently practice. We have
Mhm.
travel goals, me and my wife, to go
Mhm.
travel,
Okay.
several places. Whether it's there's so many places in the U.S. I haven't even seen. Road tripping.
One could
Um,
spend an entire lifetime
oh,
in
yeah.
one state if they
I
really
know,
wanted to.
I know,
So
I
50
know.
will take a long time.
Yep. So, things like that. But that's the thing that I want to encourage people to do is have a plan. Have a plan. Go out. My wife, she goes to the community center down here, and there's all these classes you can take for free at the senior center.
Yeah.
So it's like people don't know that there's things available unless you do the work and you go out and you look for these things. So I would always encourage people to, stay active, stay balanced in your life, with your passions and whether it be helping out in the community or helping out with your church or
Yeah.
volunteering somewhere.
There's also
But
some really.
you have to stay busy.
Yeah,
You
there's
have to
a-
stay busy.
I mean, yeah, I think that would, if you were super busy in your jobs in particular. There's a great book out there. I'm going to totally mess it up, but it was a great book. The author's Canadian, so I'll have to look it up and I'll post it in the description below. But I think it was called How to Retire Rich, Healthy, Wild and Free, or something like that.
Yeah.
It is a fantastic book. It's a super easy read with all these
Right.
little kind of quotes and anecdotes from people throughout history. It's a super good book. I was reading it for a project I was interested in, and man, there's so many great life quotes in there for anybody, whether they're
Right.
retirement age or not.
Yeah.
But it's a really good book. But yeah, I think the loss of identity, and then also the time use is a big one too. Once you get outside of finances, so like, yeah, time use. Because do you really want to I suppose maybe for some people they do want to just, literally catch up on every Netflix show that's ever been produced.
Right.
You know what I mean?
There's a lot of dramas out there.
But maybe people want to just hike every mountain. I don't know. I guess
Yeah.
it's to each their
me,
own.
me, the having the freedom to have that extra 8-9 hours a day
Yeah.
is huge. I mean,
Right.
that's the major part of your day. Your
Right.
entire day, right? Is that big part of that full-time job. And a lot of people I see transition too.
Yeah.
They're not ready yet, so they step down to part-time. To get that, for
Definitely.
a
That's
year or two,
very, very common.
kind of slow down
Mhm,
the
yeah.
workforce, give
Little
themselves set up,
phased approach.
phasing out,
Yeah.
right? And I may do that at some point too. I don't know. I think my ultimate goal is I'm not going to work day past 62.
I will say this.
That is the ultimate goal.
Yeah, I will say this as a sort of a closing part on my side, which is I have talked to a number of people that have retired, and most of them tried to put together at least a rudimentary plan before
Yeah.
they did.
Yeah.
And I think at least the people that I've talked to, in every case, it did not go according to plan,
No.
and they
Never
didn't have
does.
enough to fill their things, and it's kind of a challenge to learn to live with an amount of boredom, to put yourself out there and meet new people, to
Yeah.
develop new hobbies, right? And
Yeah.
there's a certain sort of I don't know, not anxiety or something that comes with that sort of newness, but it's
Right.
also good for you.
Well,
But I would just tell you that has been a universal sort of thing that I've
Yeah.
seen. So for those of you that have
It
already
takes
put
some
together
courage.
a
It
great
takes some courage to
yeah,
do that.
exactly. And I would just say for those of you that already put a great plan, it doesn't seem to be going according to plan. Well, welcome to the club. That seems to be everybody I've ever talked to.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's a challenging thing. So
Yeah.
I always just say, you know, when I see the young people coming up, I'm like,
Yeah.
keep putting that money away in that 401k. You're going to retire comfortably.
Yeah.
Believe in the system. You know, overall, you know,
And what choice do you have?
what choice do we
Yeah,
have,
yeah.
right? And just be conservative.
Conservative.
You know, be,
Speed up, yeah.
be conservative.
Yeah.
You know, don't always put yourself in so much debt just to get something new. You know, try to be a little conservative. It's going to be better in the long run at the end. You know, it's like, well, why do I smile every day? Well, I put in 31 years and I have a lot of reasons to be happy.
Yeah, what I'm
right?
hearing, the advice I'm hearing is, yeah, a bus might hit you and you could be gone tomorrow, but the probability is low, so
Right.
maybe save a little.
Save a little.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for the interview, Mike. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you.